Hello and welcome to Broadbeach on the Gold Coast. Recently I decided to spend a couple of nights down the coast and I had a really great time. During my time away I had the opportunity to relax, reflect and have a little bit of me time to ponder the possible life and career choices I can make. I also caught plenty of public transport in Queensland, ventured into the border zone and had an amazing breakfast in Pottsville, New South Wales. I also caught a few northern New South Wales buses before heading back into Queensland. Whilst I really enjoyed myself, the trip made me question whether Broadbeach, the area of the Gold Coast I stayed, is brilliant, or if there are some mistakes that have been made. I also thought it was about time to release a video that utilises some knowledge from my planning degree, and not just to profess my love for reviewing unconventional public transport vehicles. My planning-based subscribers say it's long overdue. Maybe I should start a series called Actually Talking Planning. So I stayed at the Meriton Broadbeach, which offers a really nice range of serviced apartments. Serviced apartments are popular with business travellers, as they offer facilities like stoves, full-size fridges and laundry rooms, which are not available in most hotels. Current demand for serviced apartments is quite low, as most companies are engaging with businesses remotely, holding conferences remotely or cancelling them altogether, and scaling back events. This means that the rooms were very reasonably priced. The Meriton is also adjacent to the Star Casino and the Gold Coast Convention Centre. But if you have a little bit of a closer look at that view, you'll notice that the road alignment out the window is quite wide. There are 2 lanes in either direction, plus a turning lane, a wide median strip, and of course, the Gold Coast tram corridor. And when you cross the Gold Coast Highway near the Broadbeach South tram terminus, it gets worse. To the uninitiated, crossing a road like this is quite a slow and, dare I say for pedestrians, undignified process. There's a giant traffic island in the middle of a giant road that I'm only halfway across. My hotel is just back up there, probably 200 metres, and because of this crazy system of roads and massive wide carriageways and very little pedestrian infrastructure, to get from my hotel there to here has taken me almost 10 minutes to walk what's probably 200 metres. I can't help but think that the Gold Coast isn't very pedestrian friendly at all. Unfortunately, you'll need to cross this road frequently to access public transport to key Gold Coast activity centres like Burleigh Heads, Surfers Paradise, Pacific Fair shops and of course the casino or convention centre. In my 3 days there, I also found that drivers get very angry when you interrupt their traffic flow. I was abused by one driver for pressing the button and making the lights go red, and I could see a number of drivers frustrated with having to stop. Anti-pedestrian behaviour further incentivises people to drive rather than walk, cycle or use public transport on the coast. It's truly amazing to see how inconsiderate drivers can be, and it probably explains why I only drive when there's no other option available or it's just not feasible to take another option. So I then decided to head down to the waterfront after walking through Broadbeach Mall and continued towards the beach. Whilst on the way I saw some less than stellar cycling infrastructure. I wouldn't want to be going on a bike through this roundabout with a bus alongside me. Fortunately, the view at the beach was rather nice and so was the sand. There's one redeeming feature along the waterfront, these nice large pedestrian paths and green space, which is a good juxtaposition for the really tall towers that dominate the Gold Coast skyline. If I could highlight just one planning frustration with the Gold Coast, it's the inconsistencies in built form and the missing middle. Finding a low-set property or a 2-storey house is nice and easy, as is finding a very tall tower. But anything in between, well, that's another matter. Filling in those gaps with better suited housing and businesses would help to change the current perceptions on how to navigate the Gold Coast. It might actually transform that transport network into one that's not just for tourists, teenagers and fare evaders, unfortunately of which I saw many, and turn it into a well-utilised and high-quality service. I should also point out that there were unreliable go-card readers on the coast, and I racked up $30 in incorrect fares, and I've had to apply for refunds because of broken go-kart machines. I actually found that the new buses were the most problematic. Perhaps they haven't calibrated them for rear door boarding. Over time, changing the urban form might also encourage people to leave their SUVs and dual cab utes at home, and alert them to the benefits of active and public transport. If you head to the beach and see those car parks, they're full of big, overbearing SUVs and utes. While modern SUVs do offer good occupant safety, we don't test for pedestrian safety very well in crash tests. Regardless, I can't say that a high bonnet line and flat grille is good for pedestrian safety. Anyway, enough of the SUV rants. Let's move to something more positive, the extension of the tram network from Broadbeach South Terminus out to Burleigh Heads. With stage 3 of the tram network underway, I think there's a good opportunity to incorporate conversations about built form, diverse housing and improved pedestrian access into the mix. Will it happen? Maybe. It really depends how keen the Queensland Government, Transport Main Roads, Gold Coast City Council, community, industry associations and planning consultants are to collaborate to create better outcomes. I really hope they decide to work together rather than fight about it. With the first sections of tram infrastructure, the Southport area was perhaps the most challenging to design for. But I think with Stage 3A, the connection to Burleigh Heads will require lots of planning as the corridor needs to best account for low-set shops, beach access, and better access for patrons into businesses along the Gold Coast Highway. This might also need to change travel habits of patrons to those existing businesses, which is always contentious. Precincts like Nobby's Beach and Mermaid Beach still rely heavily on localised short-term parking, and a new tram alignment would likely require the removal of some of those spaces. Of course, planners know that parking isn't the be-all or end-all that many business owners treat it as, because in many instances, parking directly in front of a business actually decreases visibility rather than increases customers. After all, people who are walking are people who are spending, not those just parked in the car. I'd like to give my thanks to MR Cagney consultant Stephen Burgess for spelling it out really that simply. Business owners often believe that customers want to be able to park directly in front of their store. Having these tough conversations are important as construction continues, and it takes people with determination and a good demeanour to encourage business owners to support, rather than oppose the removal of some parking. I must say, I am looking forward to seeing the next stage of the tram network progress, and if I see some particularly exciting developments, I'll be sure to keep you updated. I also actually enjoyed my stay in Broadbeach, although crossing the Gold Coast Highway to get to that tram was never an enjoyable experience. Make sure to check out the description to find out more about Stage 3A of the Gold Coast Light Rail, and until next time, thank you for joining me on Talking Planning, and I will see you again soon.